Welcome to the opening ceremony of STEALTH Ideathon. So we're really excited that all of you are competing this year. This is our first annual one, and we are planning for this to be a yearly event. It's probably going to be every August, so just a heads up for next year. And yeah, Axel will start us off.
Sorry. So this quote by Steve Jobs basically says, innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not as a threat. And as all of you know, this past year has been really hard and really different from what we had expected with everything going around us. And instead, and probably Shilpi and I were talking about this the other day as well, if this never happened, we would have never had this opportunity to share this platform with all of you guys and have these competitions. So instead of seeing the change around us as a threat to our extracurriculars or a threat to our high school experience, we can see it as an opportunity to grow and become better people. So our opening speaker is Miss Mathur, Priyanka Mathur, or Miss Mathur, and she is, she'll be. And so just to kind of give you guys a little background on who she is, she's the founder and CEO of MediPocket. So, and MediPocket is kind of bridging AI and healthcare together, and it's an application that allows you to kind of buy prescriptions at a lower cost. And what they're working on right now is creating a doctor AI, where based on your symptoms and your past medical history, you can let them know. And if any symptoms you're having, they can actually calculate the risk that you have of developing a certain disease, and they can give you a five-step action plan to kind of go ahead and figure out what to do. Should you call 911? Are your symptoms serious, or should you probably just go to your physician, or is everything okay? This is normal with someone with your medical history. And so she will be joining us shortly. Until then, would you guys like to talk about where you are from and a little bit about yourself? Feel free to unmute yourself.
All right, I guess I'll go first. My name is Hriday. I live in Metuchen. I'm a senior. Yeah, I'm a senior. And yeah, that's all about me.
Thank you very much for that, Hriday.
I don't think I introduced myself. My name is Aksa. I am going to be a junior this year, and I live in Central Jersey.
I'll introduce myself too. My name is Shilpi. I'm also going to be a rising junior, and I live in Old Bridge, which is also in Central Jersey.
Anyone else who is brave enough to introduce themselves?
All right, I guess I'll go based on the note of Old Bridge. My name is Ishika, and I am also from Old Bridge, which is in Central Jersey.
Bridge rep.
Hi, this is Uma, and I'm going to be a junior at J.P. Stevens High School. Hi.
Hi.
I think Anika wanted to introduce herself as well.
So my name's Anika. I'm from South Plainfield, and I'm going to be a junior next year.
Hi, my name is Nikita, and I am from Bridgewater, and I'm going to be a sophomore next year.
Hi, my name's Mary. I'm part of the Lightbulb project. I'm from Los Angeles in California, and I'm a freshman in college.
Would anyone else? Nice to meet all of you. Does anyone else want to introduce themselves? Okay, so while we're just waiting on the host, on the speaker to join, and she's in the waiting room, so she's just gonna take a couple more minutes. Until then, is there anything anyone wants to talk about?
At this point, just call on people because everyone's being too shy.
Hi guys.
Hang on, let me stop
From
sharing
Edison.
because this part I don't want.
I introduce myself late.
Wait, Shuri was introducing herself. Shuri, continue introducing yourself. Come on.
Hi, Jidaksa. Hi guys, I'm Shriti and I'm from Edison.
So Shivan says, I'm Shivan and I'm an American from America. Very nice to meet you, Shivan.
Thank you so much, Ayan. Wow. So Ayan lives on Earth.
I would be very surprised if one of you guys did not live on Earth.
You never know.
I'm Ratham and I live in the Milky Way galaxy.
The birds got that covered for us though. Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much. Me too. All right, let me start sharing my screen again because we might have to wait
It was very nice to meet all of you and our speaker has just joined us, so we will give her the opportunity to speak. I think her audio is connecting. Priyanka, can you hear us? Ms. Mathur? Ms. Mathur, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys now. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Is my video not working?
No, your video is working. It's good.
Why? I can't see myself. Okay, if it's working on your end, then it's good.
So if you would like, we can get started right away and you can introduce yourself. And I think I gave you the ability to share your screen as well.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, yeah. Hi guys, how are you? I know Aksa, and who else we have here? I know a few people, but the one that I can see is who? The other girl.
Me?
Yes, hi.
I'm Sophie. It's nice to meet you.
Same here, same here. Okay, so my name is Dr. Priyanka Mathur. I am founder CEO at MediPocket, and I am also associated with a few healthcare platforms, which is Scale LA. It is a hub of 120 healthcare companies in California. Then VSEE. I don't know if you guys see. Okay, VSCC and some foundations like Cry and Gift. I really love the opportunity talking to young people like this who are smart, talented, and interested in learning healthcare because you guys are the future. And I always say once you know the problem of the present, then only you can redefine the future. So I'm so happy to talk to you guys.
We're glad to talk to you as well.
Hi. Okay. So if you let me do one thing. Do you guys want me to share my screen so we can go over what I would like to talk today?
Yes, that's fine.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so MediPocket is my health tech company, which is what we are creating is a primary care ecosystem. I will tell you more about how we are doing it, what we are addressing. But what I want to show you first thing is this. This is a picture of a senior doctor when he given laptop for the first time. It's a funny fake picture, but it's the real picture where the healthcare providers, when you're given the technology, if you know the term called white coat syndrome for patients, similarly for healthcare professionals, they have fear of technology syndrome. That is one of the reasons the technology adoption happens last in healthcare, especially by doctors. And I need to confess one thing that I was one of those doctors. My learning journey into this technology AI world started 2 years back when I started working on my new venture, MediPocket. It is by integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning components that we are trying to create a 360-degree on-demand, continuous primary care ecosystem. Artificial intelligence, which most of you are quite technical people here, understands that it's quite a talk of the town term in healthcare recently. Artificial intelligence, sometimes called as machine intelligence, is intelligence demonstrated by machine, in contrast to the natural intelligence displayed by humans. Well, it's a pretty broad term, and it includes a grand project to build that non-human intelligence. It is an umbrella that compromises of machine learning and deep learning being subset of each other. Now, in simple explanation, machine learning has algorithms whose performance improve as they are exposed to more data over time. Deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning, is inspired by the functionality of our brain cells called neurons, which led to the concept of artificial neural network. AI. So possibilities of AI is endless, from fraud prevention to developing new technologies to address climate change. AI has already established itself in healthcare in many ways. With development in AI, all of these data points can be entered into algorithms for machine and deep learning for some fascinating predictive analysis for healthcare. And I would say not just this, but also the fastest way to come to an analysis. To understand that, let me give you two examples. One is patient health records. For example, when a doctor in a practical scenario diagnoses a patient, they will look at symptoms, patient history, environmental and genetic factors to assess what led to illness. It is not hard to imagine that machine and deep learning could process all of these aspects and come with possible diagnosis within seconds. Furthermore, since large data management and records are possible to keep on file, perhaps all a doctor has to do is enter the patient's name into the computer to get to an early diagnosis, saving lives. Another example I want to give is of the current condition that we are going, the current pandemic, COVID-19. AI and machine learning is helping to fight against COVID-19 in few ways. One way that they are doing is through healthcare and government institutes that includes using machine learning enabled chatbots for contactless screening for COVID-19 symptoms. Machine learning is also helping researchers and practitioners analyze large volume of data to forecast the spread of COVID-19 in order to act as an early warning system for future pandemics and also to identify vulnerable populations. Machine learning can also help accelerate the discovery of drugs to help treat COVID-19 by understanding the body responses to the coronavirus. In the context of pandemic, AI is being applied and delivering results in three main fields, I would say. One is virus research and development of drug vaccines. Second is the management of services and resources at healthcare centers. And the third is analysis of data to support public policy decisions aimed at managing the crisis, such as confinement measures, when to put the lockdown, where to put the lockdown, and stuff like that for the government. Well, this is the reason why the big four tech companies are leading healthcare innovation. In the eyes of Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, healthcare presents a tremendous business opportunity. Google aims to stand out in healthcare by applying its AI capabilities in the areas of disease detection, data, and health insurance. Apple has focused on patient-facing products like Apple's HealthKit that allows users to share their clinical health data through trusted third-party apps. Amazon has made it clear that it's entering the healthcare industry through multiple arenas. Amazon, JP Morgan Chase, and Berkshire collaborated and announced the formation of a new healthcare company called Heaven. Microsoft Azure to integrate seamlessly with healthcare IT infrastructure to transform healthcare by combining research and health product development. The trillion-dollar healthcare industry is up for disruption. It presents business opportunity that's too lucrative to ignore, especially for these global tech giants. Just to give you a scenario of how the healthcare system burden on the economy of just say US healthcare system is, just to give you that idea, US healthcare cost skyrocketed to 3.65 trillion in 2018, which accounted for 31.4% of US GDP, making US number one in healthcare expenditure, but 27th in the world for its level of care it provides. Report shows that if AI is used effectively, the US healthcare sector could save every year around $300 billion, saving country from getting bankrupt. Now, roles of AI in healthcare, as we talked, it's endless, but currently the areas where AI is being implemented in healthcare is virtual health assistant, in robotic surgery, improving speed and accuracy of diagnosis, clinical trials, drug discovery, healthcare bots, that is AI chatbots, and in reducing healthcare cost. One way is that the one that we already talked, that it healthcare can reduce the cost by $300 billion savings every year. Literally 50% can be minimized. Few other ways the artificial intelligence can impact healthcare and is the companies and I would say the sectors are working towards it. Well, a few interesting ones that I want to point out today is three. One is unifying mind and machine through brain-computer interfaces. What it is? It is by creating a direct interfaces between technology and the human mind without the need of keyboards, mice, and monitors. It is a cutting-edge area of research with significant applications, especially neurological diseases and trauma, to the nervous system can take away some patients' ability to speak, move, and interact meaningfully. BCI, brain-computer interfaces backed by artificial intelligence, could restore those fundamental experiences to those who feared them lost forever. Another is developing the next generation of radiology tools, bringing the intelligence to medical devices and machines that are accurate and detailed enough to replace need of tissue samples. Other is making smartphone selfies into powerful diagnostic tools. So not just to put smart selfies on Instagrams, but used for diagnostic purposes. Dermatology and ophthalmology are early beneficiaries in this trend. There are few healthcare startups that are also were using this for detecting COVID-19 or pandemics like that in the future. Another one is turning the electronic health record into reliable risk predictor. AI can provide early warnings for conditions like seizures or sepsis, also predicting risk to vulnerables in pandemics like COVID-19 or any epidemic or endemic situations. It could be an early sign predictor. To elaborate a little bit, taking you to more into medical side of it, let me give you an example from the day-to-day clinics. This is an example of a lady, Mrs. Manny. She's 52-year-old, came to the emergency room with a foot sore. Doctor investigated the sore and she ended up staying in hospital for 22 days. Here's what happened. On day one, she came to ER, doctor inspected the foot sore and found no reason of medical concern, but they kept her just to monitor in case her foot sore is infected. So they put her in general ward. On day three, she developed symptoms of mild pneumonia. They gave her usual treatment of antibiotics, all well. And then her condition starts worsening. On day 6, she develops what's called tachycardia. She then had trouble breathing. On day 7, she experienced septic shock. That means her body is in crisis. Incidentally, mortality in shock is 1 in 2. Now, only at this point, doctors get really concerned and then transfer her to intensive care unit. Here, they gave her every possible treatment to stabilize her. But her condition only worsened. First, her kidney starts to fail, then her lungs, and on day 22, she dies. What went wrong? Mrs. Manny did receive right set of treatment, but the problem is she only received them too late. Sepsis is 11th leading cause of death, more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Turns out sepsis is preventable if treated early, as the case in most life-threatening diseases. So what's the catch? It is doctors that find it very hard to recognize sepsis. In fact, a Harvard study shows with 93 leading academic experts that when they were given several cases of patients with and without sepsis, they couldn't agree. Question here is, how could machine learning have helped? Could machine learning have helped to save Mrs. Manny's life? Answer is research at Hopkins University by developing TRUES using machine learning. TRUES is Targeted Real-Time Early Warning System. TRUES uses data from EHR, electronic health records, other patient data sources, analyze and make it to give early warnings. When Mrs. Manny's data was run on TRUES, they found that TRUES would have detected her sepsis 12 hours before doctors currently did. That, as clinicians say, difference between life and death. Just to summarize, sepsis is one preventable killer in many pressing medical problems like sepsis, COVID, sepsis and COVID. The answer of knowing whom to treat, when to treat, and what to treat with might already be in your data. Talking a lot about data brings to another buzzword, which is big data. In healthcare, big data, what is big data? Big data is a term used for massive amount of information that can be interpreted by analytics to provide an overview of trends or patterns. In healthcare world, big data is often used to describe electronic health records and patient data. To show how big data analytics can help to understand it, let me reverse and give you an example from e-commerce industry. This is how Amazon was able to win retail war years ago with big data technology. This story started in 1994 when Jeffrey Bezos started Amazon.com. Amazon uses big data to target its customer based on their behavior online. Question here is, how much data is enough data for deep learning neurals? In general, more data is better, but the key is good quality, relevant data. As the saying is, garbage in will be garbage out. Thus, quality of data in healthcare is important for accuracy of analytics and outcome. Another revolutionary AI implementation in healthcare is the AI chatbots, which we can see in the current pandemic's condition like COVID-19, where the healthcare is overwhelmed by taking care of the patient that needs the first-hand treatment, ICU treatment, how you can prevent people getting exposed to that and have a self-screening. The AI chatbots is helping a lot in that, doing a contactless screening. A chatbot is a type of a web robotic application powered by AI that helps in running automated commands on the internet. It has been used in other industries for long, but just got adopted in healthcare recently. The role of AI chatbots in healthcare in current COVID-19 situation is customer service, administration of patient engagement, research treatment, first level primary care and emergency first aid, dispensers of drug info, and remote patient monitoring, pre-operative, post-operative. The few healthcare chatbots to watch for is Sensely, Abby, Ada, Babylon, Safe Drug Bot, and MediPocket. Talking about MediPocket, we have implemented screening chatbot for COVID-19 symptoms. Also, we are right now currently in a beta phase. We are integrating machine learning by not just being symptom checker, but also aiming in increasing adherence and saving healthcare costs. Now, with benefit comes risk. What are the risks of AI in healthcare? Few major ones are the accuracy and safety. Giving you again a clinical example. Take a system trained to learn which patients with pneumonia had a higher risk of death, so that they might be admitted to hospital. It classified patients with asthma as being at lower risk. This was because in normal situation, people with pneumonia and a history of asthma go straight to intensive care and therefore get the kind of a treatment that significantly reduces their risk of dying. The machine learning took this to mean that pneumonia equals high risk of death and asthma plus pneumonia equals lower risk of death, thus risk of accuracy. The second is risk in new exceptional health cases. A program will only be as good as the data it learns. Program needs to be trained or at least constantly updated to be able to identify new exceptional health cases. The other is risk for doctors and patients. That is, since AI is not being perfected, doctors cannot fully rely on AI, and they still need to make decisions based on their knowledge and expertise, creating sort of a confusion of when to rely and how much to rely on AI. Few challenges of AI in healthcare is, one is adoption. As the first picture, if you recall, the challenge is getting clinically adopted. The healthcare industry needs to create a workforce that is knowledgeable about it, so they're comfortable using AI technologies, thereby enabling the AI technologies to learn and grow smarter. One that I think can be done for this challenge is by introducing a basic AI course in our medical institute. So it doesn't come out as a fear of technology syndrome when the doctors are given this kind of sophisticated technology to work with. Also training doctors and patients how to use it. The other is regulations. The challenge in regulation is AI is a technology that is not fully known or understood. The existing approval process deals more with AI hardware, not about data. Therefore, data from AI possesses a new regulatory challenges for FDA and needs to be validated more thoroughly. Another challenge is black box. What is black box? Black box is the problem in it is a problem in artificial neural network because of the way they are trained. Researchers can observe the input, let's say MRI images going in, and output decision, that is cancer or no cancer, without any insight into the inner working of the algorithms. The doctor needs to at least have an idea of how a decision was made. Well, this calls for the opportunity for a new startup to build an additional layer into its diagnostic algorithms. Few efficient ways I would say that AI in healthcare can be worked efficiently is three. One, we need super smart engineers working in healthcare. So don't go to Wall Street as healthcare needs you. Second, we need policymakers to create incentives to open EHR for data access to sophisticated machine learning. And the third, need healthcare system based on quality of care and not quantity of patients admitted. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to talk about MediPocket. At MediPocket, what efforts we are making in integrating AI with healthcare to create an efficient, transparent, affordable, accessible care ecosystem by keeping patient at its heart. The problems that we are addressing of healthcare are that it's a non-transparent, expensive, and a fragmented system. MediPocket is your health in your pocket. It is a healthcare application backed with AI machine learning, creating a 360-degree continuous on-demand primary care ecosystem. We believe in bringing control in patients' hands by making them informed, organized, to be better advocate of their and their family's health. We do that by addressing few verticals and combining them on our platform. One, few of the features. The first feature that we do is MediRx. Every medical consultation ends with prescription. Prescription drug industry is highly unregulated, non-transparent, and a $610 billion industry. As a doctor, I can prescribe you the best medication I think is for you, but if you can't afford it, you won't take it, resulting in decreased treatment efficiency and outcome. If you can compare hotels before you book them, you can now do so with your prescription prices comparison by just simply putting the name of your prescription drug and the address on our platform, and it will pull out the price comparison among pharmacies in your zip code. Also, we increase adherence by making them affordable by a free RX savings discount card to save up to 80 to 85% at 75,000 partner pharmacies across the nation. You simply have to show MediPocket RX discount card on your app at any pharmacy, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, Walmart, etc. at a time of checkout and enjoy 100% free savings on demand without the need of authorization, approvals, etc. delays. The best part about that is, few best parts I would say, is first, the MediPocket discount card never expires. One card can be used by all family members throughout the nation, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico. Also, you can use this card to save on prescription and also on over-the-counter medications. Best part is you can use this card to save not only on your family member, but also on pet prescriptions, which is as equal family member as other members in the family. The other that we're doing is Medi-Delivery. When you or your loved one is sick, you don't need pizza to be delivered on demand, but medicine to be available on demand. Thus, you choose pharmacy and we deliver on-demand prescription drugs to your doorstep. Very important feature, which as a clinician, I always say to the patient, this is I would say one of the most important that you need is My Health Vault. It is your personalized EHR in pocket, available anywhere, anytime, as having right health information available at right time saves lives. Other that we are doing, I don't have the slide of that one, but the one that we are also developing is Know Your Genetics. It's a non-invasive AI-infused platform to know probabilities of hereditary, genetic, or chronic diseases severity, and can also alert you about when you need the screening, again, based on your health information on file. Dr. AI, it's a chatbot. It's a machine learning chatbot that gives you personalized medical advice. It's a little different than the regular general chatbot, which relies completely. I'm sorry, let's have my computer. Okay. It's different because it not only completely relies on the chatbot, which is the information you're putting into the system, but also it take into account the health information that we have in My Health Pocket, also the medication use or the medication search you have done through the platform. The algorithms combine them together and give you more personalized diagnosis rather than generalized diagnosis. Also, another very interesting feature that we are working is MediChef, which will recommend and create personalized diet program based on your condition or day-to-day health and your data. MediPocket app is free to download right now for our first 500,000 users, and medication savings card is a promise to all our users to be free for all the life. So it's a lifetime saving card, absolutely free to be used. Quickly, to give you a market size of the US of the healthcare, our healthcare market in US is $3.5 trillion and the prescription market is $610 billion. The average American spends $1,240 a year on prescription drugs. This is few about attraction of MediPocket, about a partnership with 75,000 pharmacies. This is actually the old number of 5,000. Right now, we have 15,000 users in 6 months now. And we have done 550 deliveries. Again, this is the old number from 3 months back. This is the potential partnerships that we are going with the urgent care insurance company, telehealth, and hospice and assisted living facilities. Very important question, which has been asked so many times to me, and you might be, some people do question in the healthcare. Will artificial intelligence replace doctors? Are today's doctors going to be an endangered species? And the answer to that is no. The AI will not replace physicians. However, physicians who use AI will replace those who don't. AI is going to augment healthcare and physicians. Artificial intelligence is about to change healthcare or is already changing healthcare and the medical profession the same way the stethoscope did in 19th century. every stakeholder in healthcare should prepare for it. The future of medicine is a triangle, a golden triangle, as I say, keeping physician, patient, AI as its sides. One in which machine augments clinical care and diagnostic, one with the patient at its heart. The care right now is a sick care. It needs to be more practice healthcare. Data-driven healthcare is predictive model. As a closing, I would want to emphasize few points that it's hard to scale doctors, but it's easier, rather say much easier to scale machines. Also, we need to find ways how to use small data for sophistication machine learning instead of just going for big data that takes time to collect and feed. Also, want to ask from you all to become a data donor. Many of us have been a blood and organ donors. Well, healthcare now also need data donors to make machine learning and deep learning efficient to treat you better. Would like to end this with one of my very favorite quote is that those of us are crazy enough to think that we can change the world are the only ones that have chance to do it. So be creative. Never think that it's too big to think something big. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That was a really great presentation, and I hope everyone who was watching enjoyed as much as I did. And now, thank you so much for being here with us.
Sure. Okay,
Yes.
I think I'm still sharing my screen with you, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll figure that out, but okay, very good.
Does anyone have any questions for her? You can feel free to ask them in the chat if you're too scared to say it out loud.
Can you drive over to Canada and get cheaper medicine?
You know, that is what a lot of people are doing it, but not everyone can do it. But I agree. Canada has a better, I would say, at least for the prescription part, has a better affordability.
And have you heard of data ops? Are you familiar with data ops?
Not really. Tell me,
I'm
what
not
is
sure.
it?
I took a course on Varsity Tutors where I observed like other people doing machine and artificial learning. So how did you go into that space? Like, did you familiarize yourself with other things? Like, you know what I'm saying? Did you take STEM or something? How did you just discover that you wanted to start going into the field of machine learning?
You know, I would say it's just you have to see that interest. If you feel interest, now healthcare is very wide, right? If you're specifically asking in healthcare to go into AI and machine learning, then I would say you just have to give yourself a first-hand exposure to it. Just to give you a little of my practical how I started, or I would say how I decided that I want to be a doctor. I would be able to do long term is when I was in my high school. Took a voluntary thing in hospital, and my thing there was escorting patients from the waiting room to the doctor office. Now it's not really considering to be being at first and in the healthcare, but I was in that ecosystem. And what I realized is that is something I feel interesting. I want to go. So I felt clinical part to be more interesting, early on. And then obviously with the changing field and all, I always say that they're much more an intelligent doctors than I am. How about a doctor can take a little side and you try to use technology and make it a simplified system for the patient. So to answer you, how you know it, I would say is you have to find your own interest and just make sure what you get into it, you would enjoy to do long term, because it's not as you say, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you need to be ready to take it long term, that whatever you start with machine learning in healthcare or whatever in healthcare.
Hello, I have a question. What are your future ideas you have on the subject of AI to healthcare? Like you personally, with you having expertise on such subjects.
I mean, if you're saying what is the perspective, I think during the presentation, if you saw it's endless. the opportunities of AI in healthcare is endless. There is so many ways we can help our healthcare system, current system, to using the AI. But I would say we also need inspectors right now. Inspectors, when I say, is to control it, to audit it. Right now, we are just talking about a very vast thing. And AI is like, if you unleash it, especially in a healthcare, it would be really hard to control it. So we need to be really careful when we are going integrating this AI to healthcare, that we also keep a control on it, or at least there would be a kind of, as I say, as an inspector, sideline inspector to that, because you do not want to give power to the machines.
And I had another question. How many data donors are typically needed for a full data diagnosis on how to identify a condition that is not too well known, I guess? For example, COVID, it does have flu-like symptoms, but it's a very distinct viral infection. How many data donors would be typically needed?
The number would be, I would say, would be in millions. That is the least that you need, because specifically when we are talking about let's say we're talking about COVID, it's something new that is not known to the human race or even to the healthcare system. So for that, in order to get more precise analytic, we do need a larger number of data to come to that more accurate analytics. Talking about general conditions, again, the size has to be quite decent. Now you can still predict with a smaller size, but it won't be more accurate, be more generalized than more personalized prediction that we can come with a smaller data.
Okay, thank you.
And then Pratham asked in the chat, how long did it take you to develop this idea?
So from idea to execution, it took me 3.5 years, and I would say execution actually started in late 2018. Before that, it was all speculation. Should I be doing it or not? So that's why I always say 3.5 years, but proper was from 2018. So I would say 1.5 years.
You're also asked, what are some ways besides making these apps priced to fund them? Or do you believe that making these apps priced is the only way to have a steady fund?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So your app, do you have to attach a price to it in order for it to have a steady funding, or is there any other way to have steady funding for it?
If you're talking about monetization, then it's different from the funding, because funding is which you externally get in order to fuel your company, right? Or your project. As far as monetization, there's various ways, and that's why that is one of the commitment. As long as I can do it, we would be keeping this app free for the users. We do have ways to monetize. One is the discount card, where the patient do not pay anything. Again, it's a part of a commitment, and that would be lifetime. But we do get it as a referral fee from the pharmacies. Also, the delivery, again, that's very straightforward. It's the service you provide, and you get the monetization from there. The same would be from the My Health Pocket and Dr. AI. Certain limit would be free. After that, you have to go for a package to choose.
Okay. And one more question. Is it hard to get hospitals and medical offices on board with the app? And if so, how do you get them to collaborate or support your app?
It was hard, I would say that. But only, I think, an edge or advantage I had as being a doctor. So I could talk from firsthand from my practical experience and knowledge that why this app is needed, or why something like this is needed. So I had a little edge on that one. But yes, it does take a little efforts to convince them, especially when it comes to the healthcare data. They are not very open about sharing their health information, again, because of the liability issues.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions before we move on? Okay, then thank you so much for being here today with us. We really appreciate it.
Sure, thank you. And I would like to know, which you can either send to Aksa and email me, but
Wait, I
I
have
would
a
like to
question.
know.
Wait, yeah,
So,
can you put your email there? So I think I might have some like other questions, like persisting questions. So can you write your email there?
sure, I think Aksa, you have my email, right? If you
Yes,
can
I'll.
write, and also if you can put the website, the Medi Pocket, so there they can go and also look for what other things that are in pipeline we are doing,
Any chance?
also the app. But the thing that I'm always interested, I see we have around 32 people here as a participant. I would like to know from you guys, what do you see as a future of healthcare?
For sure, robots.
Robots? What? Okay, let me ask you really quick. What, when you say robots, what sector of the healthcare do you see these robots to be used?
I think robots could be used since they have I've heard of robots. I for some reason robots kind of remind me of artificial limbs. So that's I don't know. For some reason I feel like I know there's people that have artificial organs, hearts, livers. I definitely think could be used for debilitated people, for people that need to get back on their feet because they have some sort of problem whatsoever. So, you know, it could be used for cancer patients. It could be used for people who have heart failure. It could be used for those kind of people. I think for sure it can make a difference for those people that need some organ replacement, or for people for donors, stuff like that. It could be used as a replacement organs. And I've also heard of people that 3D print organs. So I think it could definitely make a difference in the future because as you said, organs I definitely, for some reason, when I heard of MediPocket, I was thinking of Medicare. I don't know why, Medicare and Medicaid, because I heard about that. So for some reason, it just rang a bell that MediPocket for some reason had something to do with, I definitely think it could, be the robots could be the face of the next generation. Like I also, another thing I want to point out, I heard of robot butlers. So like, robot butlers, robot servants, and there's also robotic vacuums, right? You know those iRobot, they have like Roomba and stuff like that. So I definitely think that robots could be literally the face of the next generation.
Yeah, no, I do agree, and that's what we're going to see. What areas they are already currently being used. They quite have entered in healthcare already. But yes, no, I do like your point about getting the people, especially physical therapy after accident or after when you lost your, motor movements. The robots can definitely help in that physical therapy part of it, bringing the strength back. So yeah, that's very interesting to know that.
And then some people in the chat were talking about, to answer your question, they were mentioning nanotechnology, using 3D printing for replaceable organs, or AI for diagnostic radiology, 3D printing organs, Neuralink. I don't know what. Would you like to explain what Neuralink is?
Yeah, Neuralink is just, what do you call it? It's Elon Musk's way of merging the brain with AI, and I feel like that's something that's going to really, like, especially for people that are like paralyzed and things like that, like it just helps you enhance your brain capabilities and stuff. So I think that's definitely something that can influence the future of healthcare.
Right. And if you remember in one of the slide, I said BCI, that is exactly what it is. So you would be connecting your brain to any of these devices, artificial intelligence infused devices, but there's no wiring connection to it. So without any keyboard, mouse, that here. So that's what BCI, I think the Neuralink is the same thing that you're talking.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And then Caitlin was talking about assist therapy for post-operative patients. So after they undergo surgery.
I'm sorry?
Caitlin said assist therapy for post-operative patients.
Yes.
I think it'd be more helpful for chronic conditions, because usually they're inpatient and they're in the hospital and they get treatment for long periods of time, and usually you need a whole staff to monitor them to find out their vital signs and if they're stable enough. And like I think AI, artificial intelligence, and other robotic technology would assist in the hospital staff in maintaining these vital signs and other factors that go into their health.
Exactly. And just to point you in that one, see, in the current COVID, what is happening? Our healthcare system, not our, but I say around the world, global healthcare system is slammed because the healthcare force that we have it cannot match the pandemic because it just came unforeseen, which most of the pandemics does, but it just came to such a big, I would say, it came to such a big number that it was thrown in such a short time that the healthcare system had no time to get that make itself capable enough to handle it. Now in that case, if we would have already invested, or the government and the system has already would have invested in the AI part or the robotic, that is one of you said about it, instead of having doctors getting exposed to that, to firsthand to that, we could have had the robots taking those first thing about, like, okay, analyze, screening the patient, or even if they're in the ICU, minimizing the contact or the exposure of doctors, which is on the nurses or healthcare staff, so they can focus on the people that are more right now not critical, and minimize the exposure or taking the infection to them from the people. So just to give you, like, when a doctor is in ICU treating the person who's more critical and in other words more infected, taking the same infection when they are going to the people to the general ward or into a less critical people, they are transferring actually the infection to them. But the thing is, they have to do it because you cannot keep changing your PPE every other room visit. So definitely the robots or the AI would have helped tremendously in managing this COVID much better. But again, it's a lesson to be learned because sadly to say, this is not the last pandemic that we are going through.
I totally agree. There was the saying that for the United States, it's usually we focus on the non-acute and primary, or the intensive care, so more of the acute conditions than the chronic ones, and that's what usually leads to chronic conditions. So I believe for tomorrow, like in the future, I believe we should invest more into primary and preventive care rather than more money and investments into chronic care, which it may lead into. So
yes, totally.
Yeah, I think just going off of what Caitlin was saying, personally, I see AI coming into a lot greater use in preventative treatment, where based on a person's personal history and medical history and social history, they would like give you suggestions that you have this risk of developing this disease, but if you take these steps, this is how you can mitigate that risk or lessen it, to kind of because prevention is much cheaper than treatment.
Exactly. Even we can see that in the COVID, right? And I mean, right now, to be honest, prevention is the only cure we have, to be honest, until the vaccines come. So you're very right. We can burden our healthcare system less by preventing it. Also, another thing is, if we have right tools to go to or screen ourselves before we get overwhelmed and just every sneeze we just go to the urgent care or intensive care unit, urgent care or the emergency room, which overpopulates that. And as you know, our system is not very structured. It's like first come first basis. So the person who is was sneezing would be treated first, then the person who's complaining of chest pain. So it's like, we can definitely help our system and help ourselves in the healthcare cost if we have the right tools to get that anxiety or the screening done, that, okay, do I need to go to the emergency room, or I can wait, or I should just go to wait for my doctor visit. So definitely AI or development of technology in that, making a simplified platform is what is needed. So another thing to point out, AI is not only needed to be a very sophisticated level in healthcare. That is being already used. The AI is being used in the cancer treatment, MRIs and all that. But how many of us use that every day? We don't need MRIs every day. We don't go for cancer treatments every day. What we do every day is primary care. That is where we need to bring AI to, is the primary care level.
Yeah, thank you. I think that in addition to primary care, AI is also going to become really big in surgery and in treatments for more, as Caitlin said, chronic illnesses, especially cancer, because recently a research paper has been published by Harvard as to where AI bots are starting to be used in cancer treatments, because a lot of the time, a lot of the cancer treatments that are pre-existent are like they're biological, like they have to do with drugs, they have to do with radiation, which those you can't even use for head and neck cancers. And chemotherapy, the ones that utilize drugs, those can oftentimes be rejected by the body. And that really only works if the cancer is caught very early. So now scientists are trying to use AI for that as well, especially since a lot of the times with cancer treatments, they also have to be going on for a very long time to make a serious impact. While for AI, they can classify the tumor just by analyzing it. The response may not exactly be immediate, but it'll be much faster than conducted by human analysis. So I think it'll definitely be seen there too.
And I really like your point, that the point that you made in the cancer. The other thing which I would really want, and once we go to that phase, I want to do is, if you know a little bit about the cancer treatment, it's more like hit or try kind of. They just generalize, like if you have a breast cancer, this is what the general chemotherapy would be given, or chemo drugs would work on you. That doesn't work with everybody. And you would see that everybody responds. Some people get completely out of it. It gets completely cured. But some people with the same cancer couldn't take longer, and it's very short term for them. The reason is because the genetics is very different. Now, what the AI can help is, like, how about before you give the particular chemo treatment, with the base of their genetics, based of their family history, it can tell you, okay, would this drug work on it? Or if it does, what would be the efficiency of it, would work it? So instead of hit and trying and taking multiple chemo trials, and that is, okay, now it's not working, let me change to that, which is most of the time is not life-saving. The AI can definitely help in saving lives by giving you the right treatment based on your genetics. Again, data. That's all about the data that we can infuse in it, and it can help you to detect what is the right treatment to be given and when to be given.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So does anyone have any more questions? All right. Thank you so much again for being here. Your presentation was really interesting, and I'm sure all of us learned some really cool stuff from it, since we don't really learn about artificial intelligence in healthcare. We mostly learn about patient care, if anything, and medications and stuff like that. So thank you so much for your presentation. It was really interesting for all of us.
Thank you. It is always my pleasure to, as I said, young minds are the future. So you guys need to know what is the problem so you can find an efficient solution.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Have a good day and stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Can you put your
Bye.
email in chat?
Sorry?
Can you put your email in chat?
Sure, let me do that.
Thank you.
I will also post the email and the Medipocket website on the Slack so everyone has it.
Yes, please. So here we go to the lady who asked me. Here we go. And yeah, please post that website and then download the apps. Help your parents to give you more pocket money, because you'll be saving on medications using Medipocket. It's like, okay, this is my extra pocket money then. Okay, guys. Bye. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
All right. So I'm going to start sharing my screen again. Okay, so now that Priyanka kind of kicked off our competition, now we'll get into more exactly what exactly is an ideathon. So an ideathon is a competition where you make a feasible solution, but not necessarily a real one. For example, in a hackathon, you have to actually code your solution, and the solution that you provide to the judges, it's the actual solution. It's exactly how it would work if you published it online everywhere. In an ideathon, it has to be feasible, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the real thing. So you can use code, 3D models, graphic design, any other software, website, or any other visual aids to make prototypes as to what your solution would look like. If you're still a little confused, Aksa and I will give an example presentation of a presentation that we presented at an ideathon at the end of the Zoom. This is recommended for everyone's first ideathon. If you've ever been to an ideathon before, or you think you have a good idea, then you can leave the Zoom at the end.
Time for the rules and regulations. To start off, you have to be nice to each other. There's absolutely no bullying will be tolerated. And if you ever receive a report from someone on the Slack that they're undergoing bullying, or they know someone who is experiencing bullying, you will be disqualified and you will be banned from any future events held by the Lightbulb project or held by the Orchid organization. And if you would like to talk in a workshop or to ask a question, you can say it in the chat, or you can raise your hand to ask any questions, but please do not interrupt someone if they are currently speaking. We have to be respectful and kind. And unless you are saying something, keep your mic off to prevent any background noise and any other sounds that may be happening. The host will also have this option to just mute you. So if you notice that, just because there's some background noise coming from your computer. And then try your best, this is to have fun and to kind of explore different areas of interest. And judging will be open, so you can watch each other's presentations. So try your best, have fun, and it will be okay. Again, you must register your team by tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, and I will post the registration link on the Slack for your team. Some project rules: you will have 10 minutes for your presentation. 7 minutes will be talking to present the content in your presentation, and then the remaining 3 will be questions from the judges. So again, this is just an idea. You're just explaining an idea you had. So keep it short and simple, and make sure it's well thought out. So if judges have any questions, you're able to answer it appropriately. You can use any type of resources to support whatever solution you create. As Shilpi mentioned, you can use code. You can code your own website if that is what you desire. Or you can create like a model or a graphic design, anything, or you can just have a slideshow presentation to go along with it. You must keep your camera on while presenting, because you will be evaluated on your presentation and how you present yourselves, to dress appropriately and in a formal manner. And if you have any other questions, please text me or Shilpi through Slack, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So does anyone have any questions so far?
Does our idea have to be like revolving around a theme or something?
Yes, and that's exactly the next thing we're going to do. Shilpi is going to reveal the theme in just a couple minutes.
Okay. Any other questions before moving on?
Will our eye contact be judged as well? So based on eye contact, you should be looking towards the camera so the judges know that you aren't reading off a script somewhere taped behind your wall. So yeah, to an extent, eye contact will be judged, but it's not like if you're giving a real presentation where you have to stare at the judges in their eyes, because it's virtual. Who are the judges?
That will also be revealed. Anything else?
Okay, I think everyone just wants to know the theme at this point. Go ahead, Shilpi.
So now is our reveals. So first is the reveal of our theme. The future of healthcare, as Priyanka hinted at. So the specific scenario that you'll be given is, imagine that it is 50 years into the future. What technology/innovation has been made that, in your opinion, revolutionized healthcare the most? So we decided to give a futuristic theme because right now everyone's really focusing on the present, that we're kind of in like an apocalypse because there's a pandemic going around and there's been some crazy event every single month. We've kind of been focusing on that, but it's also important to think about what it's going to be like in the future. Technology is rapidly advancing. Artificial intelligence is being implemented into healthcare more and more every day, and there are more inventions being made every single day. So we decided to give you this kind of theme so you can also think about how technology is going to be affecting the future of not only yourself, but the generations after and before you. Now, this is what I'm assuming most of you were excited about, our prizes. First place will get $50, second place will get $30, and third place will get $20. And as long as you present, you will be given a small prize. Or if something comes up on Sunday, but your teammates tell me that you did work on the slideshow or whatever it is that you were working on, as long as you do contribute, then you will be given a small prize sometime in early September. And first to third place will also get certificates and be featured on our website and social media platforms.
So our timeline, well, today is Friday, August 21st, and we are in the opening ceremony. After the opening ceremony, people who are familiar with an ideathon can drop off. But if you still have questions, you can stay on, and we're going to be doing an example presentation. Team registration is due at 11:59 p.m. tonight, according to Eastern time. And then tomorrow morning, August 22nd, we will have breakfast with the organizers. So basically, the people who helped organize this event are going to all be together, and you can come and talk with us and just hang out. And that will be from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., we're going to have workshops the entire day. So you can come, and professionals in the field, students and professionals in the STEM and healthcare field will be there. You can ask them any questions. Shilpi and I will release the schedule for the workshops in a couple after the opening ceremony. And after that, there will be a trivia night where we can play games and play Kahoot. And we might have prizes for that as well. And then August 23rd, Sunday, the early bird deadline is 9 a.m., which means early deadline just means that by 9 a.m. you have to say that you have to turn in your project, and then you decide what time you present. If you choose to opt out of the early bird deadline, your project will be due at 11:59 a.m. You'll just have less of a choice to decide when you would like to present. And then judging will take place from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And the closing ceremony will be at 6 p.m. Judging is open to all contestants, so you can please feel free to come and watch what your peers did for their projects as well.
Now, here are some of our workshop speakers.
And this talk will be on Slack as well.
Yeah. So first we have Taylor D. I don't know how to say her last name, and I don't want to say it wrong. So Taylor will be giving a workshop. Oh, by the way, all of the workshops are set in chronological order. So we will give you the detailed schedule with the exact times, but they are in chronological order. So the first workshop will be from Taylor, from goal setting to goal getting. We thought that would be best for the initial one, since that can help you define your goals for your project. Then the next one will be by Zachary, and he will be talking about creative problem solving in healthcare. The next one will be by Taylor, and she will be talking about the intersection between STEM and creativity. The next one will be by Araceli Mejia. Her bio is still coming, but she is an electrical and mechanical engineer, and she will be talking about healthcare robotics. Our next one will be by Nicole, and she'll be talking about the different types of engineering and their applications. Then our second to last one will be by Kylie on software and healthcare. And then our last one will be by Nicole Minogue, and she will be talking about why you should choose healthcare. So let me go back to this. As for our judges, right now we have 4 judges from the STEM profession, and we have 2 judges from the health profession. This is subject to change because we're still waiting on some confirmations from some of our judges. So at most we'll have 8 judges, I think, right, Aksa?
Yes.
Great. So right now we have 6 judges, and depending on the number of teams that we get by the end of today, there is a chance that we will be splitting all of your presentations into 2 breakout rooms with 2 STEM professionals and 1 health professional in each breakout room to judge, solely so it doesn't get too out of schedule. And now our specifications. Aksa, do you want to explain our specifications?
Yes, so these are the specifications for your project, basically the guidelines that you have to follow in order to kind of put yourself at the best chance of winning. So we will judge you on feasibility, originality, verbal presentation, your efficiency, whether or not you actually finish your presentation in the allotted time. If you do start going overboard, one of the organizers or coordinators will stop you in the middle of the presentation, and you will be graded on based on what you said so far. Shilpi, can you scroll down, please? So you will also be graded on visual presentation. This is where your supplementals come in. The engineering design process, it's detailed on the document, but it's basically how you developed your idea and where you see it going in the future. And how would you evaluate for any challenges or obstacles that come along the way?
Since you guys only have 7 minutes to present, the first 2 parts of the design process aren't necessarily as important as the next 4. So just keep that in mind, because we don't really need to know the solutions that you crossed out if you feel like that's cutting into too much of your presenting time. We want you to focus mainly on your solution, but do give a little bit of background on your solution as to why you chose that specific topic.
And as I said, efficiency is based on how well you were able to present your solution and whether or not the solution is feasible, in the sense that if it was passed, would it be safe for the general public? What are the ethical concerns regarding your solution? And if there are any ethical concerns, you should address them in your presentation as well. And then the why is, why did you choose a specific project? What does this mean to you, and what does this mean to all of us? Why would someone want to fund this project? Or how could this revolutionize healthcare? Again, going back to the theme. And then finally, is this quantifiable? Can the impact of the solution be measured, and how exactly is the solution helping people? So everything is out of 5 points, and the team with the highest amount of points will come in first, and then second, and third. And then we'll also have a people's choice, where if you were watching the presentations, you can vote for which idea you thought was the best.
And now these are just the different social medias of the 2 organizations that are hosting this Ideathon, the Lightbulb Project and the Orchid organization. We'll send them over the promotions channel. I think I made one of those in the Slack. So this was just there as a sort of references page.
Yes, like if you want to keep up with future events that we're having. So at this time, does anyone have any questions before we move on to the sample presentation?
Hi, are these links going to be sent, like these documents?
Yeah, everything is going to be sent as PDF files over the Slack. We just wanted to show them over here first, just so, you know, you'd be motivated to join the opening ceremony.
Yeah, okay.
Can you win first, second, third place, and people's choice? You can win first and second and third, or people's choice, but you can't have first, second, and third all at the same time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, you can not all of them. Yeah, you can get first and still get people's choice.
First through third, then you can win people's choice as well.
Any other questions? Okay, so at this time, anyone who knows what an Ideathon is, they can drop off, and anyone who still has questions or reservations, you can stay on, and we're just going to do an example presentation. The opening ceremony is officially over, by the way.
I have a question. Who's going to form the group chat?
You can form the group chats yourself. There's an option on Slack to create a personal group chat.
Okay.
Great. So I'm assuming everyone that's still here is interested in seeing the sample presentation.
I'm going to set a 7-minute timer, so if you start going overboard, it's just gonna ring, and we're gonna have to stop. Okay. You want us to post our sample presentation?
Yeah, we can.
It's attached. Yeah. We can post that as well. So welcome everybody. My name is Aksa.
And my name is Shilpi. Whoops, I did not mean.
We represent the Vinblast team.
Okay.
And
my
our
name is
project
Shilpi,
is MacroX.
and we are MacroX.
A micro solution for a macro problem. So our journey so far, first we're gonna go through all the steps, but just to give you an overview, we figured out, we identified a problem, then we came up with a bunch of solutions, and then we narrowed one of them down, then we went and created a prototype, which we will also show you. We also planned a series of clinical trials that our product can go through to make sure that it's safe for the general public. And then we're going to talk about some improvements that we plan for the future. So our problem, most of us, if not all of us, know someone who has had cancer. They could be a friend, or they could be a close family member, or they could just be someone you've heard about. This is because cancer is the second leading cause of death in America, 6th in the world. And every year, hundreds of thousands of patients are forced to undergo invasive procedures, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy that damage their body and diminish their quality of life. These treatments, these treatment methods aren't even, most of the time, aren't even effective depending on the type of cancer you have, and often leave adverse side effects that can make the patients more likely to develop other cancers or conditions, such as with radiation therapy. This infographic just shows you some of the side effects of chemotherapy, which can range from hair loss to sore mouth, to sexual dysfunction, to changes in their bone marrow as well. So how cancer cells are different. So cancer cells, as you can see here, they don't look like normal cells. They replicate indefinitely. That means they can continue growing on top of each other, and they lose their specialized distinct features that make them useful to our bodies. So now you just have a lump of cells growing inside of you that is taking resources away from your healthy cells and kind of just harming you in every way possible, because now those healthy cells aren't able to perform their functions to help your body function.
And now our solutions. So our possible solutions were first mobile chemo, which would be a mobile drug service delivery app, a skin cancer prevention app, an app that would use artificial intelligence to monitor UV radiation levels and provide helpful tips as to how to take care of your skin, gene code therapy, a preventative method that would involve the replacement of mutated alleles in genes to reduce the risk of cancer, and finally, our chosen solution, MicroX, a microbot therapy method that will utilize different sensors to identify and target differences in features of cancer cells in order to destroy them. So why did the others fail? Mobile chemo, it could easily be abused and it's not reliable. Gene code therapy, a lot of therapies like this already exist. And skin cancer prevention app, it has a similar functionality present to those in temperature apps, and there are many resources already available for skin cancer prevention. So now MicroX. MicroX is a therapy method that targets the distinct features of the cells by conducting analysis on them and then destroying them as necessary. There are different sensors to ensure that there are no misconceptions in the interpretation, so there is a thorough procedure going on. It utilizes artificial intelligence sensors, a camera, and requires assistance of the physician via computer processing. So a normal cell sample before the MicroX treatment will be taken in order to be kept in the computer for the physician to analyze. Then the microbot will be injected intravenously if there is a blood cancer. However, there are different types of injections depending on the type of cancer that we are targeting, which will allow the bot to either circulate around the blood or circulate within the tissue in which the tumor has begun to grow. So now here is our prototype. And it's just a 3D design of what the bot would look like from the outside. It would be extremely microscopic, so you wouldn't be able to see any of its designs. You wouldn't be able to see any of its designs. That little black dot right there is where the laser would be to destroy the cancer cells, and those little blue triangles would be some of the cameras that are inserted within the microbot. So now this is the diagram of the internal workings within the microbot. So first you have the camera, which is right underneath the laser. Then it would go through a processor that's in the microbot. Then it would go through all these different sensors, which will be able to analyze whether it's a cancer cell or not. If the bot is a little bit confused, then it will also be sent to the computer for analysis by the physician, and then the physician will then say, yes, you can destroy this, or no, you cannot destroy this. If it said yes, then the laser will shoot the nucleus so that it's very accurate. However, if the physician says no, this is deemed a normal cell sample, then the bot will continue circulating.
So clinical trials. So this is the actual process that we'll be going through to make sure that our treatment is effective. So first we'll go through animal trials where we will test the product with test the machine with rats that actually have cancer in different locations to evaluate the safety and effectiveness and to determine which cancer that is most effective for. And then in human trials, it will be used to determine an effective range for nucleic density because human cells are different from animal cells. And then finally, in phase 3, we will test the microbot in conjunction with other treatment methods such as chemotherapy or surgery to see if it makes those treatments more effective. And then phase 4 is putting the treatment on the market, and this will be continuously monitored to make sure that no other complications are arising that went unforeseen before.
So now finally, our improvements. So these are the advantages of our solution. It's less invasive than many of the therapies that are already present. It's more precise. There are to be less side effects. It's less likely to be rejected by the body since it does not have any biological aspects. It's more likely to work for all patients since it takes genetics into consideration, and there are less long-term and short-term consequences. However, there are still a variety of problems that may occur since there are ethical concerns which can be solved by educating patients. However, the ethical concerns still remain as to is this humane or not. It's costly and time-consuming. Effective testing is required to ensure the safety of the patient. Additionally, implementing artificial intelligence into healthcare, while it is becoming more rapid in society, it's not exactly still been implemented enough that it can be something that's completely reliable. There's also the chance of the loss of the microbot. Since it's extremely tiny, it can be hard to track them. And if it's a really big tumor, then sometimes it'll be possible to lose some of the microbots. And finally, fear. It's a very new technology and patients may be afraid to use it. Again, this can be solved through educating the patients. And now these are our resources. Aksa, what was our time?
We were like over 30 seconds.
Okay, so if you're over by 30 seconds or so, that's okay. So now we would get questions from the judges. I remember the one question that threw Aksa and I off the most was, would this microbot be able to pass the blood-brain barrier? This was the one that threw us off the most. It took us a very long time to think, and that's where we lost most of our time. That's where we lost a couple of our points because we showed that we didn't really think this entirely through. Eventually, we did say no, and then after we thought about it after the competition, that was the right answer because the blood-brain barrier has a lot of components that make it very different from the rest of the body. Additionally, we don't exactly know how the laser would react to those components. That was the one question that tripped us up the most. What were the other questions they had?
What type of signal would go through? Like what type of signal is it the microbot using for communication?
How long would the process take if it does have to go through the physician? And if it does have to go through the physician, what makes it more effective than chemotherapy? What kind of cancers can it be used against? So there were a lot of questions given to us. These are just examples of some of the questions that you may get during your presentation. And you should be able to answer them. Don't take forever to think about the answer. If you're debating something, then always go with the safer option. Even if you kind of want to take the risk, always go for the safer option. I think that's about it for the presentation wise, right, Aksa?
Yes.
So as you saw, we also only just had a graphic design to show our prototype, and then we just made like a basic diagram of what it would look like from the inside, or like how exactly it would work through the inside, just so the judges could get like a better idea of exactly how it's working. We didn't really make anything too complicated to go with it, but there were some other ones that were much more complicated. There was an app that was made. What was the one that won? It was like a environmentally friendly bike that reduced plastic or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty cool. And I think they didn't use too much complex technology either. So yeah, just putting that out there. Does anyone have any questions about like how you should present, or like would everyone in the group together present? Yes. As you saw, Aksa and I kind of rotated presenting. So everyone that does contribute should be presenting. If there's some sort of issue, then what was I gonna say? Oh, if there's some sort of issue and one of your members can't present, then it's okay as long as your team members are aware. Where did you guys place? We didn't get in the top 3. It was quite upsetting, but we did get people's choice, so that was pretty cool. A lot of the teams reached out to us and said that they barely understood it, which I think was a compliment.
I think something that we struggled with though was we did make it overly complicated. That if we had gone with a simpler idea, it might have been easier for other people to understand, for the judges to understand, and we would have been less prone to being attacked by questions.
Yeah. And
Wait,
also,
what was the competition that you went for? Was it the Young Scientist?
no, it was Impact Ideathon.
Oh,
Yeah. Another thing that we struggled with was also that we weren't specific enough. Like, we did not mention in our presentation anywhere that this would not be able to be used for head and neck cancers. And by just saying that it will be intravenously, that's what I said, right? Intramuscularly injected, then intravenously injected, then it will only circulate throughout the blood. That's the only thing we said, but then throughout the rest of the presentation, we made it seem like it could be used for all cancers, so we weren't specific enough. Can we find this presentation? Yeah, we will be sending this presentation over Slack. Any other questions? All of the previous docs will also be shared, yeah. Okay, any last questions? All right, Aksa, I think we're good then, right?
Yes. Thank you for thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you guys very soon. And I'm very excited to see all of your projects. We will be posting the team sign up on the Slack soon. I just have to finalize it. I just have to make little tweaks, and it should be posted.
Okay,
Thank you.
so concludes the opening ceremony of the STEALTH Ideathon